Okay, my friends, this is a big deal. Big deal moment. We are live with Barbara Eaton. Dr. Barbara Eaton she was one of the first people to say, yes, Jody, I see what you're doing and I'm here for you. I'm backing you up. I'm going to do whatever you need me to do. Big fat yes from Barb 5.5 years ago. So I'm always up for having a conversation and putting Dr. Barbara Eaton's name in front of our community because I think what you do is rock solid. So Dr. Barbara, introduce yourself to our community, Staffless Practice community. What do you want to say? Who are you? Where are you? Tell us all about you.
Yeah, I still remember that conversation. We were like at a back door at New Beginnings, and I was speaking that weekend, and you said, "That's my dream." And look at you now. You're on stage everywhere. And I think one of the big things that changes is when we have somebody who believes in us. Like, it's really important that we believe in ourselves, but success has never for anyone been a solitary journey. And so it's imperative to surround yourself with others who are doing what you want to do. And I would say always strive to be the poorest and the dumbest in the room. If you're the smartest and the wealthiest, you're in the wrong room. You've already outgrown that container. And that's something I've really learned throughout my career. And I think it started a long time ago. Like, I always play tennis with guys who my whole goal was to get out of the way when they served. Like, I can rally with you and I'm just like, and so what that requires is to be more compelled about your growth than about not just the comfort zone, but your thoughts about what it means to be in the comfort zone and what it means to, are you willing to temporarily make a fool of yourself? And I've always been willing to do that. And kind of this is why, because of the 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts that we as humans have. That's what the research says, that we have 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. That the majority of those thoughts aren't going to be about me. Like, your thought bubble of 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts don't involve me. And that's exactly how the brain works. So the brain has a preference for make it about me right here, right now. Not make it about everybody else, make it about me right here, right now. And we can see this in play with a child. Like, we never have to teach a child to be stingy. Right? Like, instead we have to teach them to share. And that's just how our brain is wired. And then as we go throughout life, we get dog hair. I'm a dog mom. So I have on black today because I'm hiking Rendezvous after this, which I can't wait. It's a peak I haven't hit yet. So it's 30 some degrees out and we're hitting it.
I want to hear about, will you tell us for a minute, like, tell us about the life that you came from and the life that you're living now, because it's extraordinary.
Yeah. Well, I'm from Michigan. I'm a farm girl from Michigan, as flat as life could be. Well, like the terrain and stuff. And, I grew up always like, being a gym rat and playing a lot of tennis. And I've always loved walking and whatnot. And then God moved my children and I to Phoenix, Arizona in 2009. I didn't know anyone. I just felt compelled. I want to leave Michigan because I was sick of the winters and move somewhere warm. And Arizona was, hit that spot or whatever. And 3 weeks after I got there, I met my now husband and we got married in a really short amount of time. And he came up here to Alaska and started working. And the kids and I stayed there so they could finish out school. So in Alaska, we have men that do hitch work. So they're gone for like 6 weeks and home for 2, or gone for 4 and home for 2, or something like that. And so it was actually a huge blessing because my husband had been single for quite a while and, wasn't used to like the instant family. And my kids and I had been on our own for quite a long time. And so it was nice. He'd be home for 2 weeks and then leave for 6 weeks, and home for 2 weeks and leave for 6 weeks. And so then we moved to Alaska in 2010 and just embraced everything. So
why Alaska? Because that's where his work was?
Yeah. He had worked here in the early 2000s. And he's a specialist in several things that are really that they really need here in Alaska, like building grout curtains. And he's done lots of really big, like pipe.
Barb, you say things and I'm like, I don't even know what a grout curtain is. I think the life that you're living is so interesting. And so were you in practicing in Arizona?
No, sold
So
my practice before we moved to Arizona, before the
you
kids moved to
you
Arizona.
were in practice in Michigan and then you sold your practice, moved to Arizona, and then have you practiced in Alaska?
No.
But so what are you doing? Tell us about like how you wake up and at what time, what happens, what do you do, and then what's the work spoke look like?
Yeah, exactly. Well, my schedule is way different now. Let me just say that. Um, a couple of years ago, so in 2023, my life was about as low as it had ever been. And that's even after going through divorce with a husband at the time who was unfaithful for our entire 10 years and an addict, sex addict and drugs and alcohol and, the whole 9 yards, been there, done that. And so in 2023, my current marriage was on the brink. I was 90 pounds overweight, extremely unhealthy, and had basically sacrificed my health, my marriage, my children, my everything for success. Um, you know, hit seven figures rather rapidly when I started the 56-day chiropractic boot camp to double your business. And that became my whole focus. Now, if you were to hear me interviewed or watch anything I did back then, like the rest of you, I said, my family's my priority. My health is my priority. But as soon as we look at someone's calendar, we can really see what your priorities
You
are.
guys, please hear what Dr. Barb is saying right now. So, and I'm living what you're saying. We're watching staffless practice go up, up, up and away, right? And it's more important than ever that the first thing I schedule is my CrossFit workout. The second thing I schedule is when am I taking my break today to give my brain and my heart a break, right? The third thing that I schedule is when am I going to connect with my husband? When am I going to and you know what's so funny? I met you in 2020. I never would have known that was true about you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
always need to have your act together so hard because
Yeah.
you're a rock star. So what was the pivot moment where you were like, things need to change? What happened?
Yeah. I mean, it was having a marriage that was horrible. It was literally hating myself, the reflection in the mirror, and just being so disappointed that my whole life I had been fit and healthy, and then I just sacrificed it all. And the turning point was, where else was I going to go?
Yeah.
I had to make the changes, and I just did a full surrender to the Lord, and wrote my book, Two Streets Named Hard. Well, didn't write my book at that point, but I knew I had to heal my body, and so I just did. I created something called Myelinating the Gap, and what I realized was that I slowed down to see that I was an addict. And like, let's just call a spade a spade.
What were you addicted to?
Food. It was all I could think about. Like, from the
How do
time
you heal that?
what's that?
How do you heal that?
Yeah. Well, first it's admitting, right? Just like an alcoholic, their first step is to admit I'm an alcoholic, which I've never been to AA, but like you see it on movies and stuff where they first stand up and admit, like, I'm an alcoholic. I was addicted to food, and the first thing I thought about and the last thing I thought about every day was food. And it was so bad. Like, this is where I knew the turning point was. I would like eat a bag of chips, and I didn't want my husband to know. So I'd go to the store and get another bag and open it and like roll the thing down so he wouldn't know. Or I'd make a pan of brownies, and we'd have one that night, and then I'd cut them up and then put them in another container so he couldn't tell how many I ate.
I do all of that stuff. I do
That's
everything that you just said. I do.
Yeah. And for me, that was an addict. And as a Christian,
Right.
I also saw it was an idol. And, as
What
a
does that
Christian,
mean? What do you mean an idol?
yeah, well, the Bible tells us that anything that takes our attention and is our primary becomes an idol before the Lord. And he says, I don't want that. I want me. Like, I want you to long for me most, like, more than anything else. And
So
so
food was getting in your way of all of the, I totally understand what you're saying. You know, I've been sober for 33 years.
I know, it's
Just the
incredible.
way that I live, but I can tell I could get addicted to this pen. I could find a way to be, because I'm an addict and it doesn't matter what my vice is. I'm just hungry for more of everything yesterday. So what I hear you saying is you took this addiction that was not serving you, that was in your way of your relationship to serve God and your community, and you replace it with what?
Peace.
Mm.
Just full peace. And honestly, I just put blinders on to, I stopped trying to fix my husband. I stopped trying to fix everything around me and instead just said, here's your project. It's you. And
Mm.
so I got really clear about the gut brain balance, and Mindy Pels, who's also a chiropractor, awesome woman, wrote the book Menopause Reset. And one of the things that really stuck out to me in that book was when we eat sugar, we all know it gives off bacteria. Well, those bacteria are living organisms, and living organisms want to stay alive. And so that bacteria sends a message to my brain that says, feed me. Well, okay, I can either be a slave to those cravings, or I can say not today, which means like stop eating sugar. So I just became really obsessed with healing my gut.
Oh, Barb, that's so awesome.
Yeah, and what that meant, and I had no tolerance whatsoever for cheating. Like it just wasn't going to happen. And my husband, he has dessert every single night, and that serves him. I haven't had a drop of alcohol in over 2 years because it just wasn't good for my gut. And so here's something that I did, and I talk about in Two Streets Named Heart and Myelinating the Gap. So throughout all aspects of our life, we have circumstance, right? Whether it was I have a craving or a fight with my husband, or my numbers aren't up this month, or whatever it happens to be, circumstance. And most of us have wired a reaction, right? And when I say wired, I mean there's been a neuronal synapse that's happened and it keeps happening, so we myelinate it. And when we myelinate it, then it can come up faster.
Mm-hmm.
You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, one of the things that I was really guilty of is my mom and my dad and my sister are all my confidants. And so I'd have a fight with my husband. I'd immediately call each of them and retell the story. Whoop, more
You're
myelination.
repeating the story and making it true again and again. Absolutely.
Over and 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 over again. Right. Well, that's not healthy. So that's one of the things that I also stopped. And I myelinated this gap from circumstance to choosing my response. So I'm not reacting anymore. I'm elongating that so I can decide, how do I want to respond? Not I don't want to react, because that's what I was. I was like,
you're responding through the world instead of reacting through the world. And that it's like taking a breath, like take a freaking breath, Jody, and giving it a moment before the words have to come out of my mouth, or the action, the food needs to go into my mouth, whatever it is, and making the decision in that moment. I'm going to choose peace.
Yes, exactly. And then doing that. So the research says it takes 66 reps to wire a new loop. Now, 66 reps, if you were diligent, you could have 66 reps in today. It's not 66 days. It's not 21 days. It's 66 reps, right?
So you just say it again and again, 66 times, I am peaceful, or whatever it is.
Yeah. And the whole thing, right? So let's say so here's another thing that I myelinated. When I thought about eating something that I knew wasn't healthy, I'd ask myself, how long are you going to enjoy that? Like, literally, I would have these conversations with myself. I'm like, oh, well, if I chew it a whole bunch, maybe 5 seconds. And then I'd be like, well, that doesn't seem like a good trade-off.
Right.
5 seconds of enjoyment, and then now it's going to wreck my gut that I've been working so hard to repair, or now, it's going to send me backwards and dropping, I've dropped 89 pounds. That last pound is really holding on.
Incredible.
And it's literally been from that conversation of how long are you going to enjoy this, and being more focused on healing my gut. and just wanting to feel good again. Like I want to be sexy for my husband and I want to feel good about myself. And,
Yeah.
no
You want to
matter.
be present and not think about the fat hanging over your belt. It's so uncomfortable to be heavy. So it's so funny. I had Paul Reed, I'm name dropping right now. I had
Oh,
Paul
okay.
Reed on my podcast, and I think he's a freaking rock star, super into fitness and health. And we were talking about how, like, you go to these chiropractic seminars, chiropractic specifically, and most of the people are not healthy. And the food that they're serving is not healthy. So I guess if Barb walked in the room and we hadn't seen her in 4 years and she had let go of 89 pounds, right? Everybody would walk up to Barb and say, "What are you doing?" Because we want that release. We want that expression of health, because we're the greatest proponents for health, right? So what would be the greatest advice that you would give to somebody who is sitting in your body 3 years ago and wants to be in your body now?
I mean, admit the truth. We might as well start with the truth, because we're always going to end with it. And this exact thing happened. I was at a women's retreat for our church last weekend, and I would say 70% of the women were overweight, whether it was overweight or you could see inflammation. I mean, and 70% is probably pretty conservative. And so on their survey, I said, get rid of the snacks. Get rid of the snacks. Like every day, like we have 3 meals, which most people don't honestly need to eat 3 meals. And then like a snack bar, package snacks everywhere. And I said this, like one of my girlfriends gets on me all the time because she's like, "You've just gotten too skinny." And I said, "You know what? Here's what I'd like to hear from you. Barb, I'm so proud of you that you've put the Lord first and you're no longer an addict." Because no one, like in your situation, your friends wouldn't be there. Like, "Come on, Jody, you can have a drink."
No, they were actually. When I got sober, I was hanging with people who we would go on tour with the Dead together, and like that's what we did. We partied. So
Yeah.
I was the person that was interrupting that pattern. I was, and me interrupting the pattern, it can be, and you know what, Barbara, I'm a pattern interrupter. I do this all the time. People see the success that we're having. It's not my success. It's the success of Staffless Practice and the Practice Suite and all the things that we're doing. And they see it as like a detriment to their experience on the planet, and nothing could be further from the truth. Like, you and I have always had this rapport where, like, the more you succeed, Barb, the more I succeed, because that's how we roll, because we're women in chiropractic together. So if you just let go of 89 pounds, I think to myself, how much pain it must have caused you to carry around 89 pounds of Barb, right? And the fact that you don't have to carry around that medicine ball anymore, I'm doing a backflip for you right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I if I can't get up the mountain because like that day was just full, then I put on a 16-pound vest. Just do some of them around our neighborhood and stuff. Yeah. And I'm just like, "Lord, thank you for taking all of that weight." Like 16 pounds feels like a lot,
it's
right?
A lot.
And another 70. And so I can just tell all of you, like, here are some of the thoughts that used to go through my head. Why would anyone listen to my advice when you can clearly see I have no discipline? That was like a really common thing, right? And every time I went out in public with my husband, this was my constant thought. People are probably looking at this stud of a man and wondering, why is he with the fat girl? That was like my regular conversation. And so I just decided, like, that's not who I am. And this is where, and you and I have talked about this, like, over the previous years, my relationships with my adult children had been fractured. And right. I stopped trying to fix everyone and just focused on myself. And here's what I know. Most people won't do that.
It's really difficult to do.
Well, just a second.
I know that a lot of you guys are thinking, like, and I'm going to ask this when Barb comes back, what did she do? Like, we
Yeah.
want to know the nitty gritty of the nutrition. Like, what is this? Is this your new book?
This is the workbook for my digital course that accompanies my book.
Forged on purpose.
So
I'm so proud of you.
how to make this
Oh my God.
happen in your life.
I
So
think you are so incredible.
it's a 280 page. I'm going to hold your hand to rewire your brain about relationships, money, adventure, business, like health, all of this. This is how.
Where can people get that book? Is that on Amazon?
Well, Two Streets Named Heart is Forged on Purpose. It'll be out in November.
Okay. I know that they're thinking it, so I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
What do you eat in a typical day? What does your nutrition look like?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And here's what I would recommend to all of you. Do your own research. You know, like I started eliminating things, and then I would eat something and I would just see how it made me feel. Like now I can tell if I'm going to get on the scales and I'm a pound heavier or a pound lighter, just by, you know, like how my body feels and inflammation. And that was another thing. Like, you know, my husband's a cancer survivor. I don't have it in my family, but I have many friends that have gone through that battle. And I'm like, you know what, Barb, if you get diagnosed with that and you haven't taken the steps to reduce the likelihood, you're going to be really upset with yourself.
Right.
And why would I wait until the diagnosis? If inflammation, which we know has a big part to do with cancer, why would I sit here and let my body rot on the pathway to get that diagnosis? And it is our duty, our responsibility, and our obligation to be our biggest billboard, right? Like, don't tell me what to do. Let me watch your body. Let me watch how you interact. You know, it's like, you know, my husband and I are now leading a small group on marriage. And it's just been amazing.
Did you know while you were going through what you were going through with your husband that you were did a part of you know that you were going through it so that you'd be able to have these conversations now? Like, did you know that you were setting the stage for a whole new level of service? Or you weren't aware of it?
Because that's who I am.
Right.
Like I'll sell things and then I'll teach others how to do it who want to do it. Right. Like, and I'm not saying I'm the coach for everyone. I'm quite clear. I'm not, you know, like the Wealth and Freedom Collective, which is a community for faith-led female founders who want to scale their next million without sacrifice.
So interesting.
I'm going to hold your feet to that. Like,
what if people, and you guys, we have like 1 minute left, which I hate because I could talk to you all day. What if we're not like Lord following people? What if we're agnostic or atheist or Buddhist or Muslim? What if that is not our jam? Is that still, do we still fit in being able to be taught by you?
Yeah. I mean, you're still welcome, but I mean, even our 10 ethos of the Wealth and Freedom Collective involve faith, involve like setting rhythms that are aligned with the Bible, that are all about more peace and joy and love and freedom. You know, freedom isn't a place to get to. We're already free. We've just been sold a big fat lie that we're not free. And freedom is wired. You know, like the part of the reason that we're all on this rat race is we've been taught that there is better than here. And that's why we hit the next million and we're like, yeah, but I'm still not satisfied. So then we tell ourselves, oh, I must not have had big enough goals. I must not have done it right. I must not have whatever. It's because this is the freedom. It's not outside. It's inside.
Right. It's right here. This is it, you guys. Okay, you guys, we're out of time. So how can people reach you? I know it's going across the bottom of our screen, but if people are listening, what do they need to do to get in touch with you?
Yeah, shoot me an email, drb@barbaraeaton.com. I respond within 24 hours as long as it's not a weekend. If it's a weekend, I'll talk to you Monday. But yeah, reach out. You know, I think like as soon as this is the Forged on Purpose digital course. It's a one-time investment. You'll own the content for a lifetime. And I created it so you can keep coming back, right?
Right.
Like it's not a destination to get to, right? Like even the 10 ethos of the Wealth and Freedom Collective, every year we're going to do the same, like take it up a level. And here's the analogy, like I'm an avid hiker. And so if you came and I was teaching you how to hike, we would first have a demonstration of, okay, these are some of the things that we're going to run into. Like we're going to have like a creek crossing today. This is how to get across a creek. Well, as you get more and more, and now let's see, we're going to go do Crow Pass. We're going to be doing water that's up to our waist. So there's new levels of learning that are necessary. Or like the peak we're doing today is 5,000 feet. Like
that's incredible. Please post pictures and tag me so that I can put them with this episode.
Yeah.
We do need to end, Barb. I think you are the cat's meow. Thank you for coming on our podcast today. And if you're listening to the recording of this, go make the world better with great care. Know that we're loving you from here. And thank you for listening. Barb, don't go anywhere.